coming out hot. Yeah. Woo.
You gonna intro us or what? You're just gonna listen
Live.
To there it is. It's like every week.
I mean, we're always live. From your anti-ESG iced mochaccino maker, it's a Business Pants Friday show here at September 22nd Studios, featuring most of your favorites: Jesse the Money Whisperer and analyst hole Matt Mascardi. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of energy. I think you're officially post-COVID now.
I'm competing with the music in my headphones. I never had COVID.
You know, you could turn down your headphones.
On today's weekly wrap-up, the real-life succession finally happens. Biden does cool things, but is still hated. A German sneaker company aligns with a self-proclaimed Nazi, and another woman apologizes for a man.
Yay! At last.
That's a lot of horrible stuff there.
I know. We're really going all out on terrible this week.
Come on, let's do this.
Okay. All right. You're just going to force me to do this fast. Here we go, baby.
It's chilly in my studio today, and I'm staring at my chair in the sun, so I'm eager to get through this nonsense.
And not work for the rest
Yeah,
of
I know. Honestly, that really inspires confidence.
Here we go. Story of the week. Rupert Murdoch. Really, it's Keith Rupert Murdoch. Why does everyone always forget the Keith part?
Well, I don't think he likes the Keith part.
I'm saying this in air quotes. Steps down from Fox and News Corporation to remain as chairman emeritus. He also told the staff basically that he's going to be looking over everything and commenting constantly. But officially, he's stepped down from the board. The first part of the succession is happening. He's handing over the CEO and chair roles to both of these companies to, I think, who was known as the most hated son. That's Lachlan Murdoch.
Yes.
He's the most despicable out of all of them. But here's the fun part for us, because I'm going to remind the audience, not that they need reminding, because everyone knows everything about Keith Rupert Murdoch. Keith is 92 years old, and under the terms of the trust that controls the family's stake in this empire, each of Keith's 4 eldest children will have an equal vote on its future following his death. So when he dies, the 4 of them get to decide the actual successor of the company. They might not choose Lachlan. And I'm looking at the backgrounds of Elizabeth, James, and Prudence. They actually seem to be doing kind of worthwhile stuff for the most part. So they might actually hate Lachlan and might actually vote him out. So I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
That's possible.
And,
mostly,
yeah.
What I like about this story is the other stuff that's come out, like all of his deep thoughts.
He has no deep thoughts. I will say this, in his final statement, one more missive against one of the richest men in the world had one more missive against the elites. Here's the quote. Elites have open contempt for those who are not members of their rarefied class. Most of the media is in cahoots with those elites, peddling political narratives rather than pursuing the truth. I mean, what?
That said by Keith Rupert Murdoch.
A nice little veiled little, I guess that's a little bit of a little anti-Semitic nod in his way. I don't know who these elites are.
Or is he talking to himself? Yeah,
coastal globalists. I don't know what he's talking about here. But
I didn't know that you were going to go that way, like using elites as an epithet for Jews.
Well, doesn't elites really mean like the coastal educated brethren and the bankers, and I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, but he's from Australia, first of all, right?
There's nobody elite down there. Yeah.
So what I mean, like, isn't like half of his empire there? And then when he's talking about like elites here, doesn't he just like hire like libertarians from Princeton with racist views on his channels? Like, what aren't they the definition of elites?
Yeah,
they get paid
he and his
$20
family
million a year.
Yeah, are the definition of elites.
I mean, I don't understand.
Nobody understands. Yeah.
Well, actually, by substituting the word Jews in the media for elites, I think you might have hit it.
Well, I mean, when you have language like most of the media is in cahoots with the elite, we're going down a certain path here. I don't.
Well, if it said like most of the
Cahoots.
media has circumcised the normal people or something like that, then I would have said, yeah, it's a little on the nose.
I'm just excited for the real succession that's pending because he's 92. I want to see how this is going to go down. Lachlan, Elizabeth, James, and Prudence.
I'm excited for Fox News to start selling the Trump face toilet paper, like which.
Supposedly Lachlan is a creepy dude, and supposedly he wanted all his because most normal people loathe Donald Trump, right? Especially the elites and people on the coast, and he needed to prove to all of his friends that he actually secretly hates Trump by buying toilet paper with Trump's face on it and by telling people that his wife and children cried when he was elected president. So despite the fact that the network is probably the single entity responsible for anointing him as president.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the first
I just
story
want
of the
some
week.
of that.
Number
Okay.
two. Yeah. Number two big story, mostly because this is something I care about. Clorox says last month's cyber attack is still disrupting production. They're warning of a material financial hit from ongoing production disruption, and they're saying that the attack is still causing wide-scale disruption, and they still don't even have an estimate for when they're going to be able to resume full operations. Remember, this is the company responsible for helping us fight COVID by giving us those weird gooey wipes that come out of that weird plastic can. Yeah.
But can I just say, when the betting pool opened about which company was going to be shut down from a cyber attack, Clorox was not even on my betting pool. Like the company that makes like disinfectant wipes and cleans up shit off the bathroom floor. They were nowhere near my expectations. So good for them for proving us all wrong.
Can I also tell my family, if you're listening, I know you're not, can you close the wipes container after you use it? Because otherwise it just dries out.
Yeah, it dries out.
What are you doing?
It dries out. Yeah.
Come on.
I mean,
Stop
you
it.
use those in your house?
When COVID hits, we had 2 people with COVID last week. I very greedily used those, Jesse. I was very happy to wipe down every handle.
I think he wiped himself down. Like that was his shower.
And Jesse, you're
Yikes.
making faces, but I didn't get COVID, so screw you.
So, but he did get PFAS all over his body.
Yeah, it's true. Number 3 story of the week. I think this is going to be covered a little bit later. The new Qantas CEO, Vanessa Hudson, apologizes for basically everything that Qantas has done wrong. And I got to tell you,
Don't get too enraged. You're going to steal my thunder.
No, I'm not
here.
getting enraged here. I watched her apology video, and I gotta hats off to Vanessa. She apologized for all the shit that happened before she became CEO, and didn't even drop like a butt or a lame excuse about how she wasn't even in charge. She just apologized like a true leader. It was actually, you know what I mean? Like a man would have been like, but it was not really my fault, and the elites are screwing up the airline industry, and
it was the Jewish
Kanye's
elites
a
on the
good
coast.
guy. Yeah, exactly. All right, that's my third story. Fourth story of the week: 6 Portuguese youth are taking 32 nations to the European Court of Human Rights this month.
Ooh, yeah,
for not doing
that's
enough to
great.
stop global warming. The latest bid to secure climate justice through the courts. Remember, we talked about a successful case in the state of Montana, of all places. Now it's happening over there in Europe. And finally, a bonus fake headline.
Oh, is this a fake headline?
Yeah. Adidas CEO Bjorn Gulden didn't mean what he said and isn't a bad person. That's a tease. That's a tease to the Assholeius of the week. All right. So those are my 4
Actually,
stories.
all
of
of
the week.
these are a tease of Assholeius of the week.
Those are my 4 stories. Rupert Murdoch steps down. Clorox cyber attacked. The glass cliffiest CEO moment ever. The new Qantas CEO apologizing for all the men sucking, and then 6 Portuguese youths suing suing basically all of Europe for sucking at climate change.
I mean, this one's easy for me.
Yeah, really?
I thought it was easy too, but
Oh.
maybe it's not. I was gonna choose Murdoch, obviously.
Yeah, that's correct.
But then you're making it seem like the actual showdown will happen when he dies. So,
Yeah, this is a
Yeah.
fun twist.
but yeah,
But-
this feels like the story of this week.
I mean, he is 92. Like, how much longer is he going to live anyway? Like, stepping down is the first part. I know he's
he's a billionaire.
yeah, so
Could buy you a lot of modern medicine.
I suppose he could freeze
A lot of
his
wipes.
head.
A lot of gooey
No,
wipes.
Yeah, he's not getting COVID. But it's definitely the story of the week. I mean, he'll be involved. Can you explain really briefly? Because I think people they hear chairman emeritus and they have no idea what
he did
that
explain
even
it last
is.
week.
But you got to remind everybody,
Because this is second week in a row. We've talked about this, right? Because Howard Schultz stepped into the role of chairman emeritus.
chairman emeritus,
Yeah.
which is like where founder old white guys go to maintain
That's
control
a fair
and do
point.
everything.
Fair
right?
point, Matt. I've never seen chair emeritus or chairperson emeritus or chairwoman emeritus ever once. Not even once.
Ever, right? So
So-
it's only like white old founders.
Here's a problem with this role: is that technically speaking, typically speaking, they have a seat at the board. They have a seat on the board meetings. They go to the stupid board meetings and they sit there and they stare at you, but they technically don't have a vote.
Yeah,
And,
right. Okay,
and here's the
sure.
other problem from the point of view of
just
ESG.
intimidation.
This is for the ESG nerds. Here's the other problem, is that typically it's maybe said one time in a proxy statement that someone is becoming a chairman emeritus, but then they don't repeat that statement, and it gets so data collectors get confused and they don't know if they should put them on the board or what the real role is and who are they, and so they kind of it's kind of a sneaky position of power because as our data shows, Matt, Rupert probably has what, like 5,000% of the influence on these
I
boards?
think 5,000 out of 100%.
Yeah.
That's how much. But imagine him sitting in the room.
No, I don't
with
want to
like
imagine that.
Like a
Smelling like
concentrated
Campbell's
orange
soup.
juice. Yeah, smelling a little bit like mung beans.
And not the
staring
sodium-free
at you.
version. Yeah, the one that's
He's-
chock full of salt.
He's staring at you
Yeah.
while you are like giving some presentation about the direction of Fox News. Is anybody going to not listen to that guy?
Well, maybe
And-
maybe the three other children who aren't there. We'll see what happens.
Doesn't he still get paid too? Chairman
course, of
emeritus,
course.
you get you're still getting paid. So it's
Yeah.
Is that reported on?
it's reported
The
in the
proxy?
proxy.
No.
but
Nope, not the
their pay?
No, they don't
Really?
report. That's the thing about it. Is it's kind of a loophole. They don't really report any of it because technically he's
See,
not on the
that's
board.
messed up.
Yeah,
That's messed up. That's
a
messed up. is
non-voting
correct.
position usually.
But that is the story of the week. Then is
All right.
Rupert Murdoch stepping down, sort of stepping down, stepping sideways to
Yeah.
be invisible. That brings us to goodliest of the week.
Good. That means I get to keep talking.
I think yours are first. I have two at the bottom though. So
Yeah, you two suck. President Biden's new climate corps will train thousands of young people. That's the headline? Yeah, I guess so.
that's it.
So this is modeled after
It
the
was a
New
slow week
Deal.
for good news.
This is modeled after the New Deal for those young people, Jesse. That the New Deal was something that
Jesse.
President George W. Bush came up with back in the 1970s. Okay, so the White House this week unveiled a new climate jobs training program that it says could put 20,000 people to work in the first year on projects like restoring land, improving communities' resilience to natural disasters, and deploying clean energy. This is amazing. I don't know why. Again, I don't know why people still continue to hate Biden. He did this through executive order because he wasn't able to get it through, I guess, the Congress. But I love this. I don't see
I can't
anything
believe
bad
Marjorie
about
Taylor
this.
Greene didn't co-sign this.
I don't see anything bad about this. This is incredible.
This sounds pretty good.
Oh, come on.
Go ahead, Jesse.
All right, mine, similar vein. Governor Maura Healey bans Massachusetts agencies from purchasing single-use plastic bottles.
Okay,
Just
so no
the
more Sprite.
Massachusetts agencies.
Yeah, but that's a lot. That's a lot of plastic
first state,
that's being bought.
right? First state to do
First
this.
state, it's a precedent.
And the first
Matthew.
open lesbian governor too, right? Is that right? Is that true?
Are you?
I'm not
That
sure.
just sounds spurious to me. I don't know. I have no
think
idea.
that's true. I think that's true.
All right, I'll go with that. But my two are better than both of those.
Stop.
So here are the real goodliest of the week. First, Kraft Singles American Cheese recall. Plastic choking fears impact 84,000 cases of wrapped slices. The reason why I chose this as goodliest is because, first of all, the headline says American cheese, and it's not cheese. You shouldn't be eating this.
All
Is
right,
really
what
the
are you-
thing.
what are you
It
talking
actually
about?
I do
says
agree with you.
It says on the package cheese-like product.
All right, what are we
Ew.
doing
It's
here?
gone through iterations because it's not allowed to be called
Was
cheese.
this part
it's
of
not
your
technically cheese?
Your stand-up act in 1984
Wait, so
in front of a brick
I just-
wall? What are we doing here?
So people are eating the plastic and choking.
Well,
They're like
there's-
so excited to eat
that
this
so bad?
cheese
This
that
non-cheese
they're just, like,
cheese.
eating
It's not
some of
cheese.
the
So,
plastic?
yes, but that's the
Yikes.
fear
What's the
that
good
they're going
part?
to eat some plastic. That that finally there's a reason to stop eating
Okay.
Kraft Singles.
All right.
You
And
might
second,
have won me over with that.
see, I told you. The
back door
second
good.
one here is Florida's war on woke is spurring a brain
This is
drain.
a little better, maybe good, but bad for.
You know why this is good? Because we
and
were
bad.
right.
Yeah.
We've been talking for a year about why would anyone stay in Florida with all the stuff that they're doing. And it turns out there are normal people who don't want to stay in Florida because of the dumb, stupid, heinous shit they're doing. They're
Yeah.
leaving.
Depressing.
All the smart people are leaving Florida. It's just a matter of time until the corporations are like, there's no talent here. We're going to leave. And the only reason why they stay there is because of the tax rules. This is great. I think this is great.
Matt,
'Cause
you're,
the people leave,
it's
the
not
companies
the
leave.
it's not the jadest goodliest of the week. It's supposed to be just good. You're finding like backdoor good.
No, these are fantastic.
Boy, yours depressed me.
All right, so that's the goodliest of the week is Biden's new climate core. Which the first time I read it, I read corpse, and I thought, oh, that's appropriate.
Well, maybe a few of these workers will die. Okay.
I thought of Biden
Trying to
who's
clean a
300 years
cliff.
old. Governor Maura Healey bans single-use plastic in Massachusetts agencies, and then the dual fecta of Kraft fake cheese choking people and Florida's war on woke spurring a brain drain.
Climate core.
Yeah, come on. It's
Aw.
got to be climate core. What are we doing here?
All right, fine.
What's better than
core.
climate
Just
core?
can't give it. Just can't give
Cool.
it to you, Matt.
You have to get the war on woke has
Cool.
to.
It's cool.
you got to pause on that one though.
It's
I like
cool.
that
I just
one.
didn't read it, so when I was like, I don't.
You ruined
understand.
it with your cheese screed.
No, false. The she.
I like the fact that he's bringing awareness to this. We need to stop eating that crap.
Who's eating that crap?
Everyone.
You think I'm eating that, Jesse?
Just chemicals. No, but some of our listeners might be.
We don't
packing
have
it in
listeners.
Their children's lunches.
We don't have listeners.
Do
Let's
you
move
realize
forward.
that on the package they say made with real dairy? Like you have to say that about cheese. They have to say that on the package as a selling point that there's actual milk in this cheese.
And
It's
now let's talk
ridiculous.
about Twinkies. All right, come on. Asshole is the week.
Don't
Come
get
on.
me started.
Here we go. Assholeiest of the week, and that is me. But it's not actually me.
You're not allowed to overly depress us this week, Matt. No Bill Bowie
Too
nonsense.
late. Number one asshole of the week is Bjorn Gulden, as
Oh.
Damien has already alluded to.
Boo.
So Bjorn Gulden is the brand new CEO of Adidas. And here's what he said in a podcast. Quote, very unfortunate. He's talking about Kanye West and his anti-Semitic, would you call them screeds? Would you call them
Screed. Yeah.
I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff he said.
A lot of
Quote,
screeding.
very unfortunate because I don't think he meant what he said, and I don't think he's a bad person. It just came across that way. That's what he says.
Yeah. Sounds like an idiot.
Golden said this on a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure what he's saying is the woke mob made us fire him. Isn't that basically
Sure.
what he's saying?
Yeah, we made them fire
We
him. yeah.
made them fire him.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have fired him because he's not a bad person. This, just to remind you, is what Kanye said. One of the things
I was
that
going to say,
said.
he said a lot of things. Yeah.
I'm picking this one because this one's particularly egregious. And
Yeah.
this one happened after they fired him, right? So Adidas fires him. He's no longer, working with them. And Kanye
remorse.
goes on a podcast and says, quote, I see good things about Hitler. quote, every human being has value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler, and then just ends it with, quote, I like Hitler, and called himself a Nazi. That is the man who Bjorn Gulden, CEO of Adidas, says he didn't mean what he said. I don't think he's a bad person. It just came across that way.
Yeah, and Matt, you could have listed so many other things. I mean, he also said, for instance, when I wake up, I'm going Death Con 3 on Jewish people.
So that was the one that got him fired. That was the one that got him fired. But saying that I mean, doubling down and saying I like Hitler after that, and this has all happened since Bjorn Gulden, said, before Bjorn Gulden said anything. I did look into their board, and I need an explanation here because Adidas is a German-based company, I believe.
Yeah, good look for a German company. I'm sure they're really proud of their man.
And there's nothing that says, Hitler's past, like a German-based company, but this company has a supervisory board, which is common in Germany. They have dual board structure. Yeah. Executive board, supervisory board, and then a management team, effectively, like a CEO and stuff like that. Thomas Rob is the chair of every committee of the supervisory board.
But that's allowed in the U.S. too. That just no one does that.
I'm not saying it's not allowed in the U.S. Yeah. I'm saying someone needs to explain this structure, the supervisory board structure. Like, who's got the power in this? Because is it Bjorn Gulden, who's the CEO and he's basically running the show? Is it the supervisory board who hires Bjorn Gulden? Do they actually have the power? And by extension, Thomas Rabe, who leads every committee on this fucking board. Do you know how this works? Like, can you explain how this works?
Are you trying to ask me who was responsible for firing the guy who was saying
little bit? Well, I'm trying to figure out like the power centers on a German board with a dual board structure are a little bit different than your traditional hierarchy of most companies, right?
So typically speaking, you don't even often see the CEO on the supervisory board, right?
Right, exactly. They're not allowed to be on it.
Yeah. So, and don't forget that in Germany too, half the supervisory board is actually, hold on to your hats. It's actually made up of company employees.
What?
I know. It's shocking. Right? I know, Jesse, you disapprove of that. But yes, half of the German boards, of the supervisory boards, are people who actually work at the company and know something about the company.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it is a true sort of a oversight board, right? They're elected by shareholders, unlike the management board. The management board is appointed by the executives and the shareholders, and I mean not the shareholders, but the management. And I mean so the person really in power is the chair, whereas in America it's often the CEO. So not only does Robbie the chair of the supervisory board, but he's the chair of every committee. So he really has a
single committee.
Unbelievable amount of power. That is odd, I will say, though.
That's a little weird, right? Which means when Gulden says this, it's really Thomas Rabe who's going to say, we have to fire that guy or not. So if they do not fire Gulden for basically aligning himself by proxy with Kanye West, Gulden is now backtracked a little bit and apologized.
He's already doing the apology tour. Yeah,
he's already doing the apology tour. But basically, this comes down to a supervisory board and the guy on that board who's got the most power, which is Thomas Rabe.
Yeah, I don't know how this is going to play out. Gulden is new, right? He started this year.
Yeah, he started in January.
I don't know what you do. What do you do about a guy like
coming
this?
Out of the gate, baby.
I mean,
hitting that hard.
If there's ever a moment where a board at a company collectively hit themselves in the forehead with the palms of their hands, because it's like, how do you? There's just no way of explaining this type of behavior. It's just crazy, especially at a German company that. And German, the German people, Germany has done great work since the Holocaust of eradicating most of this bullshit. This is just I will say that Gulden is not German. He's actually Norwegian. So maybe they can maybe they can set a bylaw that Norwegians are not allowed to be CEOs at Adidas.
Well, I do think that this continues a pattern of sort of founder fetish type apologists. Like Kanye is a creative person. He is known to be sort of innovative in his field.
In his anti-Semitism.
And he's a total asshole and an anti-Semite and but we seem to have this recurring pattern of like Elon Musk, Kanye West, anybody who says like horrible things but has built something interesting at one point in their lives.
Yeah.
We seem to just be willing to apologize for them.
Matt,
right?
he helped to design sneakers?
You're going to be called a mouth breather.
I'm telling you,
this is building a great thing?
No, I mean he has a music career before he became
but
a
that's nothing to do
weird
with
sneaker
Adidas.
designer.
That's nothing to do with Adidas.
I know, but it's like Golden is almost part of the apology, like the constant apologist for creative people. It's like Bjorn Gulden isn't creating shit. That guy is like a CEO. He's coming in. He's managing a company.
He's doing a great job.
He's a salesperson.
Yeah.
You look at someone like Kanye and you say, "Wow, that's really creative. He's really innovative." Sure. He said some stuff, but he couldn't have possibly really meant it. I know him in a different context, right? Like you apologize for him because you know he can make you fucking money.
But can I tell you,
of it.
Can I tell you, this is why, and it's unfortunate for our company. This is why they don't typically let CEOs go on goofy podcasts because you don't. The company doesn't really want you to know the thoughts of these people. That's why they hide. This is why they hide directors and management, and why people yell at us for trying to evaluate how directors are actually performing, because they're so well hidden, because nobody wants to know what their locker room thoughts are, because they're probably this. Like
they're mostly this.
They're mostly like, if someone's making me money, I don't care how horrible they are. Yeah, right.
That's it. I think it's as simple as, and investors are willing to do the exact same thing. Like all the pushback we get on the data that we have is it's really aggressive to vote against directors. It's aggressive.
Despite it being a mechanism that is there for shareholders
that is literally your job. Your job is to elect these people, but it's aggressive to hold them accountable.
And the choices at the election is not like, I really like this director. I love this director. This director is really smart. This director is beautiful. It's actually just yes or no, essentially. So
Can you imagine?
It's not aggressive to have a thought on
Can you imagine in middle school if you put notes in people's lockers and it was like, I like you, do you like me? Check yes or yes. That's basically what investors are at. That's
and by the way, at no point in our democracy at the last election, Biden versus Trump. I said, let's just pretend I voted for Biden over Trump, right? At no point in our democracy has anyone ever said, "Oh, well, you're just being aggressive towards Trump." I mean, what the hell are we talking about here?
I honestly don't understand it, and I can't understand how we're willing to apologize for these people and then not hold them accountable. Like Thomas Robbie, do you think he gets voted out? Does anybody vote out the chair of every committee and the supervisory board
this is a tough
who
one.
hired ostensibly this guy to make them as much money as possible? I mean, investors don't care as long as money comes in. And it's like, this is why we have these problems. It's like, we're going to, I don't know. I'm not going to rant because
what else you got?
Pointless.
Come on.
What else do I got? I got
speaking
an
of
oldie
anti-Semites.
but goodie. Speaking of anti-Semites, an oldie but goodie. Here's the headline I saw. Elon Musk's Neuralink wants volunteers for first human trial of its brain implant chip.
Ooh. Wait, volunteer? They're not even going to pay them?
Yeah, volunteers. No, in fact, what they say in the flyer is they will pay for expenses related to the study.
Well, like a hotel room?
Travel to and from the hospital, and they won't charge you to put a chip in your brain. But if you have any expenses not related to the study, they're not going to give you. They're not paying you. There's not a paid study.
The richest man in the world can't give you one of those crappy Teslas. Can't give you anything.
He can't give you. You don't even get I don't think when you're in the hospital you get the free the donuts or the Jello without a charge.
That's weird.
But so one of the worst parts about this. So there are two headlines that came out. This week.
Okay.
That was one.
Yeah, that's the point of the show, Matt, is that we're covering headlines this
chips.
week.
The other one was the gruesome story of how Neuralink's monkeys actually died.
Ooh.
And I will quote from that. But before I do, I want to tell you the name of this study. Mm-hmm. They're calling it the PRIME study. Mm-hmm. And it's an acronym for Precise Robotically Implanted Brain-Computer Interface.
Wait.
Now, if you can't make that spell prime,
Wait, I was gonna say
that's because it doesn't spell prime.
Isn't that Pribkey? What is that? Pribkey?
It's because even these assholes will make an acronym out of nothing. It's
That's
the
not
P
an
for
acronym.
precise. Wait. This the bold in the production sheet. The bold that you see is from their website. It is P from precise, R from robotically, IM from implanted brain computer,
Oh God,
and then the E at the end of interface.
that's terrible.
That's so already we're in asshole territory.
Already we're in. This is like children.
my
Yeah.
God.
This is like, and these are the people you want to put something into your brain.
No.
All right. Well, here are some quotes from the gruesome story of how Neuralink's monkeys actually died.
Yeah, go
and
quickly.
brace yourself. These are horrible. These
Yeah.
are absolutely
I
horrible.
don't like this already.
I'll just do two of them. Researchers observed the monkey identified only as Animal 20
Oh.
by UC Davis scratching at the surgical site, which emitted a bloody discharge,
Oh.
yanking on the connector, eventually dislodged part of the device. A surgery to repair the issue was carried out the following day, but fungal and bacterial infections took root. They had to put that animal down.
Sounds like Black Mirror. You're describing an episode from Black Mirror?
Animal 15 began to lose coordination. Staff observed she would shake uncontrollably when she saw lab workers. Her condition deteriorated for months until they finally euthanized her. A necropsy report indicated that she had bleeding in her brain, and the Neuralink implants left parts of her cerebral cortex focally tattered.
To be fair, though, Matt. To be fair, every time I ever hung out with Animal 15, she was pretty drunk most of the time.
This after Elon Musk went on Twitter X to say that none of the animal deaths were related to the chips or the implants at all. They were all near death already, which now is demonstrably false. He said basically they got like nearly dead animals and they put the implants in and nothing related
This is
to.
terrible.
You can't
horrible.
trust anything that he says.
You cannot
either.
trust a single word. That's
Yeah.
correct. It's horrible what they did to these animals, and now they want to
They're
put this
passing it for-
in quadriplegics' brains. They want to put it in human brains.
Right.
That's where we're at.
Wait, are they actually asking for quadriplegia?
They asked specifically for quadriplegics, and you couldn't have a history of seizures either because they don't. That's like not going to be part of the study. So there are very specific types of people, like the people who literally can afford least to lose coordination, and basically have focally tattered brains. Like these are that's who they're
What is
targeting.
the point of this? Like, what are they trying to accomplish with Neuralink?
So when they put the chip in, what it's supposed to do is take signals from the brain to connect to an app that allows you to move a mouse around the app. That's it. That's where they're at with this. That's what they're trying to do.
for what purpose?
Jesse, you do know that humanity, that the tech bros, they're trying to
This is sickening.
to eliminate our physical bodies and brains. I mean,
I did not know that.
It's a
I don't
slope
even
into
understand
some
that.
magical world where we're all living in a jar, our brains in a jar.
I'm sure
This is
there
ridiculous.
are like, positives. If they could make this work, they could take somebody who has like no motor function or limited motor function and give them the ability to communicate better or things like that.
I don't think there's anything altruistic about this that they're trying to do.
Yeah,
But
meanwhile,
in
this is
order
the
for it
same
to work,
man.
they have to read the thoughts of the person.
This is the same man who taunted the UN about that he could solve poverty. He said he would write them a
If they
check.
would prove it, yeah.
Yeah, they proved it. I mean, he could also just solve poverty at the same time, and he's asking for volunteers to support. This is going to make his company richer if it's successful. This guy.
I mean, think about it.
I can't
And
really.
this is, I'm only reading the one story from this one company this week, right? Like there's multiple stories every single week. But he also owns a large social media site, and he's done a AI startup. Like we put all these things together.
Yeah.
It could be a man who is effectively sleeps with his staff, wants to populate the earth with his seed, has utter disdain for anyone and everything, and shits on anyone who disagrees with him, who's the richest person in the entire world, who has a chip in your brain, controls the news that you get, and uses like AI to control
Here's what I'm
all
hoping.
of it.
Here's what I'm
What are we
hoping,
talking
Matt.
about?
I'm hoping that when he goes to Mars, with SpaceX, I hope he by mistake he clicks a one-way ticket on Booking.com, does not get the round trip, and he just stays there forever. That's what I'm hoping.
I do think
right.
he gets that on Booking.com.
What-
Number 3.
What else you got?
Richard Goiter.
Oh, I know who this is.
Richard Goiter is the chair of Qantas. I saw the headline, New Qantas CEO Sorry for Brutal Sacking. You already talked about how Vanessa Hudson has come out and said she's sorry for everything that's ever happened. Wrong. Yeah. Alan Joyce was the CEO and Richard Goiter was and is board chair. The headline should have read, Chair and ex-CEO do not apologize for illegal sackings.
Absolutely.
Not CEO is sorry. Also, there was this headline that broke this week. Pay rises for all of the Qantas board, what each director received. They gave themselves raises after all of this. Last year, they gave themselves raises, and then they gave their new Glasscliff janitor CEO a pay cut.
Wait,
from
is that right?
Alan Joyce. I went through her
so she's
entire
making
contract.
less than Alan's making.
Here are the details.
Oh.
Alan Joyce in 2022, his base pay was $2.146 million with a maximum 150% short-term payout and 185% long-term payout associated. Vanessa Hudson signs her contract. Her base pay is $1.6 million.
Wow. It's a big reduction.
With a max 100% short-term payout and 160% long-term payout.
How is there not a Glasscliff premium? I mean, how is there not like a bonus attached to? I mean, you're taking over a shit show. How is there not some kind of a bonus attached to that?
I can't get over the fact that the board gives themselves a raise from like $650,000 to $750,000. They basically gave themselves like $100,000 or Australian dollars each. The CEO had basically 50% higher salary than the incoming CEO, who has to apologize for all of the shit
on
that
video.
He did
on video.
On video.
Yeah.
She's the one on video. She's the one getting like people yelling at her. She's got to show up to congressional hearings and parliamentary hearings. She's going to be apologizing for her entire tenure.
Not to mention, Matt,
for something these fucking assholes did.
Not to mention, Matt, that the press already interprets her apology. They say things like a groveling apology. They're already making fun of the apology, making fun of her. Yeah.
So she's the one in the line of fire for all of this. She's getting paid half as much. Richard Goiter, you should be out in front of every microphone saying it was all our fault. We don't deserve any money. The board, I'm going to give everything back. You want how the apology should go? You should pay her what you paid your fucking asshole buddy who left the company. And you should do all the apologizing. So I made him a nominee, and I have a final bonus nominee. And I just have to say the name, and everyone will know what I'm talking about. Or I'll read the headline: Rishi Sunak to weaken UK climate targets as election approaches. Yeah, fuck you, Rishi. All right.
One headline I saw, it said it better. Rishi Sunak weaponizes net zero as election looms, but it's going to cost them. I don't know how this is going to. How is this going to fly in the UK?
I don't know what base is he talking to here.
I don't know.
Is he just trying to appeal to the people who are really upset that their like gas stoves were going to change
I don't
20
get
years
one.
from now?
I don't
get
this
it at
one.
all.
Yeah.
So your asshole of the week, Bjorn Gulden, the CEO of Adidas. Elon Musk, first human trials.
This is really tough.
This is
Richard
hard.
Goiter, the chair of Qantas, and Rishi Sunak bonus option.
Wow.
Weakening. Yeah, this was a good week for assholes.
They'd all work for me. Really, the Goiter talk made me want to do Goiter, But
Yeah.
then when you list out the other ones, I'm like, wait a minute. Like the
You're gonna
CEO,
skip
the CEO of Adidas is okay with a guy saying that
Yeah.
Hitler was cool and that he's a Nazi. Like,
You're gonna skip that guy for goiter? I don't know.
and then, but Elon Musk is just exhausting. I'm not going to vote. Do you have a thought, Jesse, on this one? Because I don't know where to
I'm
start.
gonna go with Golden.
Golden.
Wow, all right,
It does seem to be the obvious.
Not okay.
It does seem
I mean,
to be like
none
the,
of it's okay, but
Yeah, I might agree with you. Sunak is not traditionally a CEO, but he is the CEO of the UK. That does. I really do want to vote for Goiter, but I'm going to have to agree with Jesse on this one. I mean that is just what a horseshit statement that was.
I mean, it's a horseshit statement, but to me, it's actually not surprising coming from a CEO who's basically talking about wanting to make a lot of money.
It should be surprising.
I think there is nothing more assholey than hiding behind, like hiring a woman to do your cleanup and hiding behind her while you raked it in.
Yeah.
And literally no one hears from Richard Goiter. Like there's not a story that gets covered that says
true.
Continuing chair
Yeah, I didn't see his
apologizes.
name in any of
He's
those
not in any of the
stories.
headlines. His name never pops up. They do talk about Alan Joyce.
Yep.
But I fucking hate that
And
attitude.
plus, and shame on you, journalists and newspaper, especially headline writers. You have such an opportunity with a name like Goiter.
I know. Like, just think of all of the puns.
I mean, come
And
on, what are you
hate
doing?
puns.
All right.
Come on, let's do it. All right, that means we're on to exhaustingest of the week.
I'm
already
excited to be exhausted this week for some reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I feel amped up. I need to be calmed down. Come on, calm me down.
Well, I'm going to breeze through my first one because we've
I
already
like
talked
it.
about it twice. But I feel like it's exhausting that women are constantly apologizing for men. This is obviously Vanessa Hudson, Qantas. Qantas? Yeah, same thing we already said. I also was like Glasscliff alert for her.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone should read our paper that just came out about Glasscliff.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, on the website, if you're still don't know what that means or why we talk about them all the time incessantly, go read that. So that was my first headline. My second, Tim Cook admits we constantly ask ourselves whether Apple should advertise on Twitter, well, X. There are some things I don't like.
Yeah, this one made me sad.
My comment to Tim Cook is, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, I don't understand.
What are you
What?
waiting for?
There are
Yeah, what is he waiting
things
for?
he doesn't like.
Like, you can advertise anywhere you want. They'll allow you to advertise. And why don't you actually, he was just an actor in a friggin' video for their marketing. Like, you're trying to be out of the box and do cool things. You have your first carbon neutral product coming out. Like, let's get a little creative with your advertising and come off of X.
I got a quick question, actually.
Yeah.
Apple is the second or first largest company in the entire world by market capitalization.
Yes.
How much advertising do they need to do exactly?
Exactly.
Is anybody anywhere like, who's this Apple?
Matt,
Like,
Yeah.
it's advertised everywhere. You just walk down the street, you just see everyone
It's
holds an
everywhere.
apple. Everyone's
They could
holding
do
apple.
any
And
type
they have
of
it in their
advertising
ears.
they want.
Like,
Yeah.
do you need to do that on Twitter ever? Like, forget some things I like, some things I don't. I actually think he's worried about pissing off Musk. I think there's some relationship that they want to
shouldn't be.
have with his companies.
Yeah,
Jesse,
that
to your point,
sucks.
also this week, this is from The Guardian, Twitter ranks worst in climate change misinformation report. So this is the very topic that Tim Cook just made a video about. How about that? There's a good reason, Tim.
Well, that's one of the things he doesn't like.
Oh,
That's what he said.
It's
Some things he
contradictory.
Yeah.
I think
doesn't
that
like.
he should just do it. Don't come out and say we constantly ask ourselves this. Like, why don't you actually evaluate it and do something about it?
It
I
does
don't-
sound like
I don't like
he's
this one.
sitting around on a couch somewhere being
"Oh."
like, do you think we should do Twitter? I don't know. I mean, I like some of it.
I'll
I
be honest
guess.
with you. I'm a Tim Cook apologist and fanboy. I don't think that the company has spent 1 second wondering whether they should stop advertising on Twitter. Of course, they're going to keep advertising.
They're
on
gonna
Twitter.
Well,
just
then
advertise
they shouldn't
everywhere.
say it.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
you're right. You're right.
Next up, this is a few headlines, but what I'm exhausted about is rampant CEO misconduct.
Oh,
and
you
let me
came to the right
clarify.
place. Yeah.
This is male CEO misconduct, usually having to do with sexual misconduct.
Well, okay.
Ooh.
Before you say it, though, Jesse, statistically speaking, all misconduct by a CEO is probably male because it's all men anyway.
It's all, I know. But I mean, we have 30%. We have more.
That's
well,
on the
not
board.
30%.
That's on the board.
boards. Yeah. Oh, okay. Ready for the headlines?
Mm-hmm.
CS Disco CEO Kiwi Camara gives up $110 million pay package after groping female employee and shoving meat in her face.
Yeah, I didn't even want to cover this story. It's so
Shoving
depressing.
roasted meat in her face.
Roasted meat of all things.
Wait.
At least it was roasted.
Doesn't matter. I've got more. Then we know BP Bernard Looney quits. This was kind of last week's story, but it goes in vain with this. He quits after his board was misled over his lack of disclosure of personal relationships.
And that's the spin, at least. The board has known about this for a while. Yeah.
Totally.
I'm sorry. The S in that is the thing that really bothers me. Relationships.
And then is it SIBO? What is this company?
the Chicago-
Chicago Board
CBOE.
of Exchange. Yeah.
CBOE's CEO resigns over undisclosed personal relationships. It's Edward Tilley. That is his name.
Mm-hmm.
These are just the ones from this week. Well, and last week. This is constantly we go through these headlines. I mean, we talked about Vince McMahon several months ago. Like, we are just constantly seeing this. And one of these articles stated that there are studies going on. So there's a web organization, exitchange.com.
Exit change?
Yeah.
They've
That
worse than
wasn't
our
a
name.
typo. It wasn't a typo. I was like, did they add
Finally, someone has a worse name than ours.
I know they did it.
I don't
Someone
know what
did
they're
it.
trying to do with that, but
Execu-change. It's kind of like that.
yeah, it should be that.
Oh,
Change.
exec-change.
Exact change.
Change.
Is that an acronym?
It's
All
a
right.
portmanteau of executive and change.
As stupid as their name is, they're doing some good studies. So they're tracking CEO departures from the Russell 3000 stock index. They started it in 2017. And what they're finding is that of these 3,000 largest U.S. companies, last year, half of them, half of the departures were due to personal misconduct, up from 14%. So 50% up from 14% in 2017.
I should add a word that you forgot. Half of the forced departures, not just like normal departures, but yeah,
Half of
that's
the
incredible.
forced
That's incredible.
departures
Yeah.
are personal misconduct. And they also stated that there's a relationship with the Me Too movement and how we're just
stop it.
expecting,
Oh, yeah.
we're expecting more from our leaders. But
God forbid.
and I definitely believe that this has been happening. This isn't like a new thing. That's why it's exhausting us. This has been happening. It's just we have more people willing to report on it, and you can't get. I just don't understand how these men think that they're going to get away with like these relationships.
That's
Maybe
the
you can
question,
hide it from
yeah.
your wives, but like you can't hide it. You're not going to be able to hide it.
Or how about the one, even the CEO at DocGo this week, another publicly traded company who's resigning because he's a big fat liar. He lied about his education credentials. You know, so yeah, I don't know how these people think they're going to get away with it. Honestly,
I do. You know what? The most exhausting part about this is like I want to retire the references to the Me Too movement. Can we just say that like it was never okay to grope and have relationships with your like female employees and be a sexual harasser and a terrible human being. There was a short online social media driven period where they exposed that this was happening and said it's not okay. It's no longer that there's some movement happening. It's just that now we all recognize it's happening in a lot of places and not okay. Stop calling it a movement. Just stop doing it.
This is what they're calling woke culture, I suppose, is recognizing.
But that's the problem.
Recognizing men in power doing horrible things.
We're
talking
calling
about
it because we keep calling it Me Too. It's like people can just be like, oh, just like another woke headline. And it's like, I'm sorry, groping female employee is not, and shoving meat in her face in what context or century was that ever really okay?
Well, Matt,
the fact that there was a 7 minutes where we talked about it online does not mean it's like
but Matt,
it was okay.
It is currently okay because if you listen to the CEO of Adidas, which is one of the biggest, most powerful brands on the globe, then bad behavior is still okay as long as it's making money for shareholders, right?
Yeah, that is correct.
That's the subtext of what he's saying.
And there's no consequence of any of this. Like Bernard Looney isn't paying any money back. Like he probably made millions of dollars. Like he doesn't have to pay anything back from. There's no consequence. It's just like, oh, slap on the wrist. You no longer can run the company.
Yeah.
But we're not really asking them for anything.
But I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why too in that case, Jesse, because if the board at BP claws back his money, they're now suddenly complicit.
They're all fired. Yes.
They're complicit because they knew about this behavior.
Be.
They knew this was going on.
They absolutely should be.
Based on investigations in 2022.
It's not so much like the Me Too movement is or was ever a problem. It's that there's a Me Too movement. There's there's like anti-Semitism over there. There's like another thing over there. We can segment all these problems. What it all usually boils down to is a bunch of white men who value making a lot of money over anything else.
That's excellent.
Like,
that's a meritocracy.
Like human rights.
It excuses all other behavior if you made a lot of money. But there's no single movement around that, like get rid of that behavior. It's like this entitled behavior. So I want to stop referring to like these things as it's like another set of Me Too movement consequences.
Yeah, that's
it's
like code. That's code for
it's like
cancel culture.
It's become code, right? And it's like what we should be talking about is this behavior writ large. Doesn't matter if it's women or Jews or just fucking stop it. Just like you're not entitled because you're the CEO to do whatever you want because you made a lot of money. And frankly, like you're not, most of them are mediocre. What our data shows when we look at performance data is that, you know what? Management's also mediocre. Like half of management is below average and half is above average. They all get paid like they're exceptional, but they're by definition, half have to be not good.
And I will say that the not so coded language of the anti-ESG movement is very precisely that men should be in these roles. They're the ones entitled to these roles, and that any pushback against that is like unexcellent because men should hold these roles by birthright, right? I mean, that's the kind of the coded anti-ESG language that I'm getting, and we see this.
Well, we see
we analyze the Strive asset management votes against directors. There's magically way more votes against women.
In fact, in our prediction paper from January of this year, we predicted a whole bunch of stuff. If you missed that paper, also on our website, one of the predictions was we actually named 10 female directors who were powerful at companies who were likely to get no votes against votes from the anti-woke, and we nailed 9 out of 10 got all like the most votes against from the anti-woke movement. Strive voted against 9 out of 10 of them. It's like you can predict just by saying, oh, it's a woman, they're powerful, they're on a board of a Fortune 500 company or an S&P 500 company. We can literally predict who they're going to vote against.
Right, because the language of the anti-ESG movement is that they're only in that position because of it. There's not a meritocracy in place anymore.
Right, because it's not meritocracy based. Right. I'm going to just go with this one as my exhausting.
What are we even talking about anymore? I mean, like, what are we doing? Rampant CEO misconduct?
Yeah, this one, there's so much about this that's exhausting to me. I mean, Tim Cook, just stop advertising on Twitter. You don't need to advertise on Twitter. That's not exhausting. That's just dumb. And women apologize. I feel like the Qantas is asshole. It's also exhausting, but it kind of fits in the same thing because after the men do this thing,
have we covered where women have to do
the
first thing they have to do when they get into
is
leadership
apologize for this.
Is apologize.
Yeah,
right,
Jesse. What we could follow up on here is I don't know about this report from exec.com, but I wonder how many of those 4 CEO departures were replaced by women, right? I mean, how many of those created a glass cliff
We
scenario?
should reach out to them.
But I think you're right.
If you work at Exechange and .com, reach out to us.
And I think you're right. I think that the Qantas CEO, Vanessa Hudson, apologizing for because Jesse, what happened at Qantas was rampant CEO misconduct. I mean, they illegally fired 1,700 workers.
Yeah.
That is like the height of misconduct, right? Not to mention a bunch of other crap they did. But I'll agree that I think just in general, rampant CEO male misconduct really is the most exhausting here.
All right. Now I wish I was
Now
dead.
I'm exhausted.
Let's do Who Won the Week and predictions and wrap up this 7-hour-long show.
I can go quickly on this one.
Who won the week?
My actual winner after all that is Vanessa Hudson because I watched her apology video. I gotta say, like I just felt like that the Qantas people, they're in the hands of an actual leader. I don't know. She struck the right tone to me. I don't know. I'm just amazed that she wasn't like.
It was a tough week for good news.
I'm just amazed that she didn't at any point be like, I can't believe I'm fucking apologizing for what these guys screwed up.
Now
like,
who's jaded?
right.
His winner of the week.
That's
was
my
someone
winner.
She's an actress. And now to be
Stop.
a CEO, you have to be an actor and
I
actress
know, but
like Tim Cook.
it's not her fault. It's not her fault.
Maybe she
Come on,
took some
stop.
Jesse,
acting
who won the
classes.
week?
I chose Utah because they're
Oh, no.
2023's winner of the happiest state in America. But I do have to point out, Damian, that Connecticut ranked 6 on this list and Maine ranked 30.
Okay, Jesse.
So I'm so sorry.
No, let me tell you.
to break that to
First
you.
of all, let me tell you something, Jesse. No one
He
ever
sent me
accused.
like beach pictures and all
miserable.
of this after
Jesse, he
work, and
complains
he's
all
like,
day.
"You need to
Jesse.
come to Maine." Well, Connecticut's 6 and Maine is 30.
No one ever accused me of being happy. Let's start with that. Number 2, one thing you don't know about being from Maine is that being poor and cold and dealing with tourists all the time just makes nobody in this state happy. Okay,
That is true.
So this does not surprise me at all. Yeah,
I'm also not sure about the methodology from Wallet Hub.
exchange.
I'll tell you, it's based on emotional and physical well-being, your
Oh,
work
sure.
environment, and your community.
And how do they figure this out? By planting chips into monkey brains?
I got the real
Utah.
winner. Here's the real winner of the week. The real winner of the week is Clydesdales.
Oh,
Because of
terrible
this
story.
headline, Anheuser-Busch to stop cutting off Clydesdale horsetails after backlash. The woke mob
This
has
should have
saved
never been a thing.
This was PETA, actually. Yeah.
Just imagine if
Why
the
did it
trans
take PETA so
community
long?
had lovely fluffy tails that Anheuser-Busch was cutting off.
Yeah.
We finally have sympathy for them. So I'm going to go with Clydesdales. Do we have any predictions?
I have a boring prediction.
I like that. In no way. Go ahead.
Just like in the TV show Succession, I think shit's going to go wild when Rupert Murdoch actually dies. And I think just like in the TV show, I think we end up with a non-Murdoch CEO. I actually think that Lachlan Murdoch is not going to survive the death of his dumb dad.
Wow. That's something. Jesse, no predictions? No
None.
predictions for Jesse. I have a prediction to end the show. My prediction is, after reading this story, former Enron CFO Andy Fastow to discuss ethical business. He got paid to discuss ethical business at a college. I now predict that Alan Joyce, the now former CEO of Qantas, will start giving classes on CEO pay and how to avoid conflicts of interest with your board of directors. The lecture will be titled "A Dog's Breakfast, Making a Mess and Still Getting Paid." That is my prediction. Alan Joyce turning his failure into failing up. That's our show. That's Damian Rollis and Jesse the Money Whisperer. I'm your analyst, Matt Moscardi. We are Free Float. Come back next week. We won't be here most likely on Monday because it's a holiday. It's actually
not a holiday.
It's Yom Kippur. It's
For us?
Well, it's a holiday some places. My kids are home, so maybe you guys can do a show. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Until then, goodbye.